Good evening and welcome to the August 22nd, 2023 Lower Frederick Township Work Session. So I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody is present who is listed on the roll call. Township meetings are recorded for the purpose. Sorry. Township meetings are. Pardon?
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, is this on? Yeah, it is. Township meetings are recorded for the purpose of preparing the minutes, and the recording is destroyed after the minutes are approved. The meeting will be posted online on the Township YouTube channel. The link can be found on the Board of Supervisors page on the Township website. It is requested that all persons wishing to speak before the board shall state their name, address, and the subject matter upon which they wish to speak for the record. In the interest of facilitating the business of the board, all persons addressing the board shall be limited to 3 minutes, unless such time is extended by the chair for good cause. Individuals are requested to remain in their seats and to respect when other persons are speaking. The Board of Supervisors will provide a reasonable opportunity for citizens to comment on any non-agenda items after all agenda items have been addressed, but prior to the adjournment of the public meeting. I'm also going to ask that anyone who wants to speak, and I'm including the people up here, if they could please speak into the microphone clearly, because those on Zoom cannot always hear unless you're speaking into the microphone. We had an executive session just prior to this meeting about potential litigation and to receive legal guidance. We haven't. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, Jason, you need to turn the video on so we can see the board.
Is that why you raised your hand?
Sorry about that.
We're not in,
That's good. No, I have another question.
oh, if it's about some
About
of,
what you just said.
okay.
So yeah, thanks Marla for announcing that the recordings are now available on the website. I didn't realize that until just recently, and I think it's a great thing that you've done that. So it's the YouTube that's getting put up the link on the website, right?
Right, the link is to the YouTube channel. So you can just go to YouTube and Google, I guess, Lower Frederick Township.
So-
And you'll probably find it.
Now, does that get taken down after the minutes are approved?
No,
So that's up there for posterity, just the only thing is our recording here gets taken down.
that's correct.
Okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. Okay, first item of business, dormant and unused EDU policy draft discussion.
Okay, so this unused EDUs was last discussed last summer, June of 2022. We had received a request earlier this year. So in talking to the board, I was tasked with drafting a policy. Since the board received this policy tonight, I asked the board to table the discussion to allow chance to review, to have a professional review the policy, and then discuss it in much further detail at a future meeting.
Any discussion from the board? So,
It sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
right, so again, just for the public, there are some cases in the township, for example, where people have had an EDU because they expected to build something like at Village by the Pond, and some select homeowners who are reserving EDUs, and in some cases paying the quarterly sewage fees, but not actually using any sewer. So the board is going to explore a policy whereby every situation will have a consistent and transparent approach, rather than the way it is now, where some residents just don't know, it's not consistent and transparent. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Burns, Zieglerville Road. Will that also encompass the people that have already paid for EDUs, like the people up on Cemetery? I think Mr. Sachs could give us some guidance. It was done, I think, back in the day when he was on the board previously, that, or even before him, that people had paid for EDUs before, but I don't know if Jason knows where they are or how to calculate that or whatever, so.
Yeah, so what we have learned is there are some unique situations in this township that have all been done differently. So thus the need for the policy, and I would expect that that would also be included in our discussion.
Great, thank you.
Chuck, do you have anything to add?
No, I just think, this has not been done in a way that, in my opinion, should have been done over the years. And, there have been a lot of complaints about inconsistency that I've fielded from people. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes, and I agree. Everyone should be treated the same, and that will be our goal in the future, dealing with this policy. So with the board's agreement, we'll table this to a future meeting. Would that be at our work session in September?
I would expect the September work session, because I think it's going to be a lengthy discussion. That'll give everybody. Peter will not be present, so I don't know if we want to push it back that, further than that, or.
Well, what does our September general meeting look like?
At this point, with 2 weeks out, I would say it's light. That could change. So if 2 weeks is enough, I could plan to have it and see, and that way we have, everyone's here to discuss.
What does the board think?
Peter would be able to give his comment, so we can at least start the conversation.
Let's start it.
Yeah.
At the general meeting?
Sure.
Yep.
Is that okay? Okay. Is that all right with you, Chuck? That's in 2 weeks.
That would be fine.
Okay, all right. So we will start the discussion at our September general meeting. All right, trash hauler discussion.
Okay, as the board may recall, I reported in my 7/13 manager's update, we started receiving phone calls with residents upset that A.J. Blazinski was dropping in his customers. State Senator Tracy Pennicook's office started sending out trash updates in our weekly newsletter towards the end of July, and various articles have appeared from different news agencies over the last month and a half. Senator Pennicook has been working towards Waste Connections, who bought A.J. Blazinski in September 2022, to pick up their trash cans and issue refunds. I've talked to her directly and her staff regarding the trash issues. They expressed the difficulties they were having with Waste Connections. However, we did receive notice from her that the can pickup started happening this week and refunds would be issued. And I can say I did see a trailer with a bunch of cans on it this morning. So it does look like that's happening. We've made posts regarding A.J. Blazinski from Senator Pennicook's office over the last 2 weeks. A.J. Blazinski did issue a press release at the end of June, basically stating staffing has been the main issue to their service interruptions. As trash is private, and we're not in the trash business, I opted not to do any posting, expecting they would be reaching out to their customers. I obviously didn't see what would happen next, soon after, based on the phone calls that are coming in when they started dropping customers. At the beginning of August, we started receiving phone calls from Walnut Lane, which is a private road, from residents who've been unable to find another trash hauler to service them. 2 weeks ago, I had to sit down with 3 property owners who expressed their frustration with the township could do. They said Whitetail had initially stated they would service them, but then later chose not to after much back and forth. We did receive correspondence on August 10th that one of the residents along Walnut Lane was able to hire Waste Management. I did get confirmation from one of the Walnut Lane residents that has been getting around to the residents along the lane. As regarding trash, it seems the pandemic has adversely affected trash hauling as it has many other industries. I started seeing this in Springfield, trash haulers either going out of business or not taking on new customers. Staffing seems to be the major issue. The June consortium meeting, managers were discussing their trash hauler bids for those that had public trash. The 2 main concerns were lack of bidders and the increased cost of trash disposal. AJ Blazinski appears not to be the only trash hauler in the state having issues, it just seems to be the latest. As trash haulers are private businesses, I'm not sure what we can do since we can't force them to service the township. And then, so options would be providing public trash services, which seems to be becoming more and more difficult, which increase costs. And as I read from Doylestown Township, a single hauler could still have staffing problems, which would make this township's board's problem. We hope legislature within the state can figure it out, including DEP, which controls the license of these trash haulers and actually has enforcement power over them. And something that I did find, there was a survey done in East Norriton, so I don't know if the board would be interested in sending out a survey, possibly to ask residents what they would like regarding trash haulers. It's been my experience that generally people like having the ability to choose their own trash hauler. As of right now, it seems like we only have one, it's two now, taking on new customers, so I don't know that this is gonna go away. But I basically wanted to make you aware. I was aware some of those residents were gonna be present, and just to kind of allow them to express what they've been dealing with to the board directly.
Yeah, please state your name and address for the
I'm
record.
David Schooler, I live at 49 Walnut Lane.
Ray Venieri, 2 Walnut Lane.
We've been trying to deal with the trash companies. We've been denied actual access to a company to come and take our trash. Even if we were to bring it down to the entrance of the private lane, they still won't pick our trash up. So we've been calling around and found through the Environmental Protection Agency that they have clout, and we're able to get Waste Management to at least acknowledge and start coming up. Now, whether they're going to go all the way up or not, we're still, working that one out. But we did find out through the environmental protection that there are some liabilities for the township in handling what, as a trash company is supposed to do for us in taking our waste away. Because in some cases, it is a biohazard. We have one individual, that's what he has to deal with as he's in a wheelchair. So,
Yeah, I called Waste Management this afternoon, well, it's WM now, and they did sign me up as a customer, so maybe for now, our lane will be okay. So we'll see if they bring out cans, but I have been in touch with the DEP, and they sent me the information that shows where the township is responsible. Can I bring this up somewhere?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, if you just have one copy, you can give it to our manager, Jason. Yeah, thank you very much for that. It hasn't just been our community. It's been a number of communities all over the area that are having trouble with trash hauling.
And all of that. And she did say if you guys had any questions, you could always call us.
Did Waste Management indicate if everyone else can be on that, or you just, that's new?
No, I
That's new.
thought about asking that, and I didn't.
Okay. Thank you for doing that legwork, though.
Yeah, they said they'll start mine Tuesday, but
You're the first house, or you're back for?
I'm the very first
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, no one else within the township is being denied, and not everyone necessarily was dropped by AJ Blazinski. So it does seem to be, Walnut Lane seems to be kind of signaled out as far as our township residents go.
Because originally I called Waste Management and Mascara, and they both told me they weren't taking on new customers. But I figured I would try again today before the meeting. They happen to say they didn't take any payment yet, so I'll have to wait and see if they actually bring out cans and follow through. So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because in case this problem doesn't go away.
So is there some information in there you can follow up on, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for bringing that forward.
yeah, we're as an individual going to be, as families individually, working out negotiating with them. I put a call in, and they're gonna get back to me whether they'll want me to bring it down the entrance, or they'll come back and get it from my lane. If they end up backing all the way down the lane, we're a mile back. So I don't think that they're going to come all the way back. So
Yeah.
we'll see as an individual what they'll do for us.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I wonder if all of you got together and had one hauler just come down, if that,
That was A.J. Bazinski for 12 years,
yeah.
so.
And they didn't indicate that after they get more staff on board, they wouldn't be able to recommence?
It's the problem, the issue is bringing those big trucks into the back. How do you turn them around?
Okay,
We do have a turnaround at the very last home, but it's still rather tight for them, and they have to be, quite competent to manipulate it. So, but it's the same as if they're backing all the way down, so.
okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion from the board on this?
Yeah, this is Chuck Geiser. The only thing I can share is I do live on a dead-end street. My house is the only house on the public portion, but all the other houses are on the private portion of the street. And I've been here for almost 40 years, and our trash cans have always been at the end of the street, everybody's cans. And that's where Whitetail and WM, pick them up. And to be honest with you, we wouldn't want them going up the road because they once in a while somebody's gotten mixed up, and especially during the winter they got stuck, and then that was a whole big mess to pull a giant garbage truck off of my road, which is on a hill and icy. And so hopefully everybody will be willing to bring their trash to the end of the road, and you can make this work. But that is the way it's been working on my street as long as I've been here.
Thanks, Chuck. Go ahead, Warren.
A while back, I had a discussion with Jackie Callen. I was curious about how their recycling program worked. And they had a recycling center at their township building that was extremely successful. People brought their recycling materials in there, and the township actually, had the marketable cans and things like that they sold. And they had to close that down because of being abused by people coming in and, just putting the wrong stuff in, and, you can imagine. And she told me that the only reason is that it wasn't successful is they couldn't have somebody there manning the operation. So recently I spoke with my daughter, who lives in a big community up in the Poconos, where the community has a trash center like that. And what they do, they have the recycling center where everything gets sorted, so you know that it's actually getting recycled, unlike it does with some of our trash haulers. And they have a great big dumpster, and everybody can come for 3 hours on one day of the week and 3 hours on another day of the week, and the place is manned. So it's a community that's smaller than our township that can afford to man a place like that. I don't know how everybody else would feel about something like that. Not everybody's going to want to throw their trash in their car and take it to a trash center or a recycling center. I personally would way rather have something like that than be forced to have the township hire a hauler and have us not have a choice.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
So Brian Hill, that was A.J. Belinsky was also one of my prior, and they basically stopped delivering or picking up on Zieglerville Road. The other area that you need to be concerned is if they start bulking, the spring townhouses are all A.J. Belinsky under their HOA. So if they stop, you get a major problem in your hand of how many houses are in there and how much trash will come out of there. You will have a nightmare. So it's something that maybe with the HOA you may want to have a conversation, because they are dropping large accounts also.
Yeah, although it's my understanding, I think Whitetail has picked up a lot of the other areas. Go ahead.
I just want to mention also with WM.
Sorry, can you just repeat your name again for our
Randy
minute
Veneer,
taker?
2 Walnut Lane.
Thank you.
Just with WM today, they also, I just want to mention, it's going to be $70 a month. I mean, $70 a month to have my trash picked up, 75.
A month.
Which is $900 a year, which is pretty high for trash service. And, you know, it'd be nice if we could get maybe some other kind of competition into the township that, you know, could compete with that price. 'Cause
That's very high.
it's very high. I have no choice. And it would be nice to have a choice.
Well, that's what I was hearing at the consortium meeting is they reach out, they reach out to haulers when if they've got a bid. They can only sign 5-year contracts. I believe they can do 1-year extensions to year 8, and then they have to rebid it. And what they were concerned with is when they finally get bids, they get one trash hauler. So there really wasn't the competition. It kind of seems like, certain trash companies have certain ideas or something, of that nature. So it is a difficult thing dealing with private entities. So even for those that are controlling it, having public track, it's a big in the cost. And then even for those that are doing it in-house, the cost of trash trucks it's kind of like buying a fire equipment with the cost and stuff. So it is definitely an issue, not only in our area, but all, surprisingly in Southeast PA, which there's plenty of customers around, so it's definitely out and around.
Okay, go ahead, Noel.
Yeah, this is,
Oh, I'm sorry, Noel had her hand up, and then Chuck.
Hi, yeah, Noel, 209 Main Road. I had A.J. Blazinski for about 20 years. I brought them with me over from Limerick when I moved here, and I never had an issue with them. And ironically enough, I've had a little bit of not picking up, but they have been picking up here. I'm not quite sure why they're still servicing me. I'm sure they're going to do the soft breakup with me eventually at one point. I guess my concern is that the lack of having A.J. Blazinski in the market is a gap in service that seems to be creating a lack of competition I don't understand this squeeze of trash haulers not wanting to service in Lower Frederick Township unless you have to contact a representative or a senator to come in and have something done. I can tell you that at one point I had Whitetail come and solicit at my home, hard sell me to try and get me to sign up with them. And I just found out recently that West Vincent Township revoked Whitetail's soliciting permit because of their overzealous activity in their township to corner a trash market. And now the township is being held captive to fill that. And I just wanted to make that observation to you. I'm not comfortable with it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, as Jason may have said, it's not just Lower Frederick that's seeing this one trash hauler phenomenon. It's been a number of other municipalities in Pennsylvania, so we're not unique. Chuck, go ahead.
no, the only thing I was going to add based on what I saw happen well over a decade ago was, most people on my street and streets around there all had WM, and then Whitetail came in and they lowballed everybody and got them to switch, and then they gradually brought it up to, over a period of time. So it's no longer, the big differential in price. And it's the same games that, Verizon and Comcast play, stealing each other's customers.
I can also confirm that Southern Connecticut, it's not getting lost on them, the lack of competition around municipalities. So they're certainly aware. It once again, it seems to be happening in many municipalities. So.
Well, maybe this is,
It's really happening because truck drivers, labor, help, that's where it's all coming down to. They can't get truck drivers, they can't get help, the labor. It's everywhere, and it's going to get worse.
So as you get more information, Jason, you'll put things up on our website and Facebook page.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And hopefully, things will improve. Everyone is suffering from this, so hopefully it'll get better. All right, next item on the agenda, Loctite escrow release, number 1.
So, the township engineer, we received an escrow release request from Loctite LLC. This is a cash escrow that was deposited in the township's escrow fund on 3/16/2023, in the amount of $1.298 million, which is why I wanted it on this tonight's agenda, since we're 2 weeks away from our next meeting. This is an escrow release request for $126,740.20, bringing the new balance to $946,752. This has been confirmed by our township engineer via the 8/14 letter, 2023 letter, and this would be release number 2 for this land development.
Is there any discussion from the board? Chuck, do you have any questions or anything to add?
I mean, I assume this is coming by way of our engineer who's satisfied that it's okay to release it. And if she's okay, I'm okay.
Yes, sir, that is correct. All right, then. Do I have a motion to authorize the release? Sorry, is this escrow number 1 or number 2?
Number 2.
So the agenda says
Oh, I apologize.
number 1, so that is a correction on the agenda. It should be escrow release number 2. If we can maybe just correct that and put that up on the website. Does that require any change in?
No.
That's fine, it's just a minor, okay.
That's a typo.
Okay, all righty. So do I have a motion to authorize the release of escrow number 2?
Can I ask a question prior to the motion?
Of course.
But in general, aren't we supposed to do motions and votes at the general meeting? And so this is an exception. Do we have to do some kind of exception thing or no? Okay, so we can go
I
ahead.
think-
This is a public, advertised public meeting under the Sunshine Act. We can take action here.
Okay.
I don't believe this township has any written rules, and even so, we could change from saying you have to only vote at public meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for that clarification.
I think also partly because this is one of those months with 5 Tuesdays, it'll be 2 weeks until our general meeting, so just so they won't have to wait another 2 weeks.
Could you please repeat his comment into the microphone? I couldn't quite exactly understand what he said.
This is an advertised public meeting, and under the Sunshine Act, they can take action at this meeting.
You said something else besides that.
That the township, although we have, I guess, commonly, they try to do more action items during the regular meeting. We don't have any set rule or regulation that says they can't take any action at this meeting.
So that's just our policy, not the state law?
That's just our policy, yes.
And the key is the fact that it was advertised as part of the agenda that was issued before the meeting. Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, would someone like to make the motion?
Well, after asking all these questions, I move to authorize release of escrow number 2 in the amount of $126,740.20, verified by the value engineering memo dated August 14, 2023.
Thank you. Do I have a second? All right, I will second. So Supervisor Orff made the motion, Supervisor Hexter made the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item is Fulmer Road milling and paving, and is this payment number 1?
Yes.
Authorization, great,
That's
thank
fine,
you.
yeah, right.
Okay, cool.
So much in the same way with the 2-week period between this meeting and our general meeting, due to the size of this payment request, that's why I have to put this on the agenda for the board's consideration. The township engineer received the request for payment number 1 from S.J. Thomas, Inc. Value Engineering evaluated and certified the request. With this request, that would be $383,789.49. As the board may recall, we were not able to use liquid fuels funds for the milling and paving of former Riverside, therefore the township needed to pay this with multiple funds. Based on my rough calculations for the length of the roads to be paved, approximately 1.42 miles, and the amount of road where the sewer main was installed, approximately 1.01 miles, I came up with a percent breakdown of road with sewer main construction at 70.9%, and township road, or I should say additional township road at 29.1%. Therefore, I'm proposing a breakdown as far as where the funds will come from, which would be $111,682.74 from the general fund, $60,000 from the sewer capital fund, $100,000 from the sewer fund, and $112,106.75 from the ARPA COVID relief fund, totaling $383,789.49. And I did talk to Carol about my rough breakdown, and we were fairly close on the percent as far as what I came up with as with kind of the breakdown where the sewer main was installed.
So question, Jason, does this leave funds remaining within the ARPA? We have ARPA funds left after this?
Yes, so with this release, based on last month's, we would still have that unallocated, we would still have $285,000 roughly available for in the ARPA relief fund. With the $60,000 from sewer capital, taking into account where we were at as of the beginning of August bill-wise, and with what would be remaining paid out to Dolly, we would still have $54,000 remaining in the sewer capital fund. And then as far as the general fund, this would actually be coming out of our road paving and contractor line items, which we budget a total of $130,000. That we would normally take any kind of paving out if we were using general fund money, so.
Thanks for that clarification.
But Riverside has not been paved yet,
Correct.
or the portions of Bavington that were going to be restored.
Correct.
So how much more will that cost?
Well, the contract was for the full contract sum was for $493,869.97. So we still have roughly $110,000. So if the board's accepted as far as the percent breakdown, I would do the Riverside similar to this. There is the end of Riverside actually is we didn't have sewer main, so it's a smaller version of former. So we'd still be consistent with what I came up with, trying to be fair to where the monies are coming from.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? Chuck?
You're muted, Chuck.
Chuck, we still can't hear
We're
you.
still not hearing you, Chuck.
Nope.
Nope. chat, he wrote just continue.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do I have a motion to authorize the release of funds for payment number 1 in the amount of $383,789.49 to S.J. Thomas Company, Inc., verified per the value engineering letter dated August 14,
Hello.
2023. Hold on a second. For the Fulmer Road Riverside Avenue Milling and Paving Project. Go ahead, Chuck. We can hear you now.
No, all I was asking is, I guess we're just linearly assuming the cost per mile or cost per yard or foot, however we want to think about it, that's a valid way of doing it. In other words, there's not one area in this project that consumed more resources than another area in terms of pavement width, pavement depth, or any other special consideration.
Right, that would be a much different project to break down, I think. So that's why I came up with just the straight miles. And also based on what was taken out of the change order for what would have been the paving for the sewer main from the, I believe it was the change order number 5, which was roughly 240,000. So that's kind of where I was trying to get close to what should be coming out of the sewer fund and or sewer capital funds too.
Thanks.
All right. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm just curious, Bob Burns, Sugarville Road, is there any retainage on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
You didn't mention any retainage.
5% retainage would, so there's a retainage of $20,199.45. So the total completed was actually $403,988.94.
Thank you.
All right. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll move, make the motion as per the reading of the chair.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, so Supervisor Orff made the motion, Supervisor Byrd made the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, that brings us to the Zieglerville Road Stormwater. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Diane.
S.J. Thomas, Diane Jern, Zieglerville Road. S.J. Thomas was the contractor who did the actual work on the road, who did the actual paving of the road. Might have been a subcontractor.
Saks and Sons was a subcontractor of this S.J. Thomas.
And Mr. Sachs just voted on this payment. Just wanted to note that.
Thank you. All right, Carol, are you going to take this item?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Jason's done a lot of talking tonight. So, this is about drainage on Zieglerville Road. So we have a design complete and we have had conversations with property owners on either side of the swale that we utilize to drain Zieglerville Road. And we're at the point where we believe it's appropriate to involve the solicitor in effort to create easements for this work on both those properties, both temporary construction easements and then a permanent drainage easement to maintain that swale along the property line between these two properties. So the request tonight is authorization from the board for the solicitor to assist with easement acquisition for 13 and 17 Zieglerville Road.
Do we need to have a not to exceed, or is there a pretty standard range for this kind of work?
It's a pretty standard range, but if you wish to do a not to exceed, you certainly can.
Can you give us just a ballpark, just so we know what we're looking at? Maybe
We're only
$5,000?
looking at 2 easements, correct? There's 2 properties.
We have 2 properties. From each property, we will need a temporary construction easement and then a narrower permanent drainage easement. And there's a little bit of negotiation still to do with the property owners to nail down the terms of the easement.
I would say a very conservative figure would be $1,000.
Okay, so, all right, thank you. So we probably don't need to put that anywhere. So is this just agreement, or do we need to vote on this? Just consensus?
Yeah, I think Carol's just making sure you're fine with me getting involved.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, do we need to make a motion? No?
No.
Okay, great. Any comments or questions from the boards on this issue, or? Nope?
No.
Chuck?
No, I do not have any comments.
So is the board in agreement that our solicitor can begin the work to get the 2 easements?
Yes?
Yep.
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 Okay, go forth.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. That was unintentional. And I believe the next item, township job description discussion, is going to be tabled.
Correct. The EDU policy took me a little longer than.
Okay.
so,
And will that be tabled until our next work session?
That
or-
I'd like to table for the next work session. Yes.
Okay, great. Before we go to public comment, I just want to make an announcement that I did not make at the beginning. It's on the agenda, the conditional use hearing for the Saks and Sons property will be on September 29th, and that is, I think, a week from today at 7 PM. All right, that takes us to public comment. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Burns, Zieglerville Road. So Carol, on the properties that you need the easements for to run this storm drainage from Zieglerville Road down through there, has the board been advised of, what is there a cost to each one of the residents to purchase that easement? And I know you said before that there was going to be tree clearing that was going to obviously be involved. Is there any idea of how much dollars and cents this is coming out of?
It's not anticipated that we would be paying for the property. It's anticipated that this project would benefit both property owners and that they would receive additional benefits in that we would be clearing dead trees, offering to plant some replacement trees. So we're really looking for a win-win situation here, not a cash purchase, because a purchase would require whole different levels from the solicitor too, I'm sure. We'd have to deal with appraisals and all that. So that's not been the focus of our conversation. The focus of our conversation is how to make this project a win for them and a win for the township.
I was just curious, because the amount of trees in that area, not that they're very big, but there's enough of them that would need to come out for you to do what you want to do there. So do you have any kind of cost estimate as to what the clearing portion is going to be?
I have not yet talked to a tree company for a specific cost estimate on the tree.
Okay. And you're still anticipating that work being done through our equipment bid, or is that something that's going to go out to bid? How's that going to work when that does
I've
transfer?
actually been in consultation with the solicitor on whether it could be done under the equipment bid, and we're working on that answer right now, whether it will be done that way or done out to bid. So that has yet to be determined.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Looks like no one on Zoom has any comments. Go ahead, Diane. Oh, and then Warren.
Okay.
Hi, Diane Jern, Zieglerville Road. I received a letter today about the conditional use hearing, and it said in the letter that anybody that got the letter is welcome to come in and get a copy of the application. So I asked for a copy of the application. I was told I had to put a right to know request in. Do I need to put a right to know request in as a
Diane, that's
interested party?
Diane, that's not for the application. I'm asking for what you're asking for the other.
All right, so the other thing I asked for, and I talked to Jason last week, and he said that I could come in on Wednesday to see this, was a development plan set. And now I'm being told that I need to put in a right to know. for that. So I know things, this is sort of what you were talking about with your EDUs, how, you know, maybe 5 years ago, things were done this way, and then 2 years ago, things were done this way, and 1 year ago, things were done this way. I guess what I need to know is, do the residents have to put a right-to-know order in to look at development plans that the township has in their offices? And
That-
who directs the right-to-know officer about that? And
I believe that Jason is the right-to-know officer. So he is the right person to talk to. And things governing right-to-know come from the state, and there is written law and legal guidance about it that comes down and is consistent. So that is what we and all other townships, municipalities go by.
okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. Jason did not make that clear last week, and he did not make it clear today when he sent an email, or had Becky send an email. So now I know. I don't have to put in a right to know for the conditional use application, just for the development plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Warren.
So back to Diane's first comment. I just assumed that there wasn't anything illegal about Terry voting on that, because Peter didn't say anything. I mean, he's our solicitor, he's sitting right there, he would have chimed in and intervened, I guess, if there was something wrong with it. But obviously, the optics aren't too good for some people, or Diane wouldn't have got up and said something. So maybe to straighten that out, Peter, you want to explain? Explain why it is okay, why it doesn't,
No, I'm not going to.
it's not a conflict. So do you agree that it is
No,
okay?
this is between me and Mr. Sachs. It's legal advice. I'm not going to explain it.
Huh, interesting.
Any other, go ahead, Bob.
Burns, Zieglerville Road. We all say we want to learn from our mistakes in the past. So I don't want to name the project, but when we have a set of plans that go out to bid, on the bid package, if it goes past the time period, there's a penalty phase. Unfortunately, the one that I'm talking about only has a $50 per day penalty phase. That's absolutely unheard of. I spoke to Bob Preston about it several months ago when he was here at one of the meetings, and he said, yeah, that number should be between 1,000 and 1,500. As you know, I used to be in that industry, been out of it for 17 years because of my back. Back when I used to do them, they were 500 and up. So I just want to make sure that the board is aware and that Peter is looking at these bids when they go out, that in the future, you know, somebody be instructed or the board absolutely know that, hey, we're putting this out to bid, here it is. So if we're going to do this project out front here, if that has a penalty in it, if they're not done, I would suggest that penalty be north of $500. And hopefully, I don't know if Mr. Nelson reviews that portion or whatever, but I think it's something that we need to learn from our mistakes. So, thank you.
Thank you. We can look into that in the future, certainly. Right. Anyone else? Do we have, so just for the public, this is the end of the public comment period. If you have a comment, speak now or forever hold your peace until the next meeting. Okay, we're now at the supervisor comment section. Do we have any supervisor comments? Not today, Terry?
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do, I knew it.
After Terry's done, I just
Okay.
want to ask a question.
Yep. So I've been giving a comment at all the meetings about the blood drive. We had the blood drive. It was a couple weeks ago, and we had 41 people sign up. Of that, 34 units, pints, I forget, whatever they measure it in blood, were collected, so thank you very much for everyone who came out. It was a great success. The Miller Keystone Blood Bank said it was a great turnout. 80% of the people who came were new to them, so I'm sure they'll be bugging everyone who donated to donate again. We'd like to make it at least an annual process if we're willing to host it here at the Township Building. So thanks again for this community. It was a great day.
Yes, thanks again, everyone who donated. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, my comment was just, Jason, I know a resident handed you something during the meeting, and if you could just, with regard to the trash discussion, if you could just make sure the board gets a copy of what he handed to you. Appreciate it.
Yes, we'll do.
So I do want to follow on Terry's
Okay.
comment. I think what was done, Terry, that was a great job on all people's parts, and I do think it would be good if we could make it an annual event. And, we should see what we can do to make that happen. So great
Okay.
job on your part and
Thank you.
everybody involved. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Travel safe.
Recordings